processes. And now by utilizing advanced biotechnology and engineering solutions. And now the sole aim is to achieve sustainable methane production while having minimal environmental impact. The way we seek to address such is by using genetically modified Synegogus denominator species 002 culture and CCU technology. Now, the methodology used in this work has to do with, we look at a lot of processes like the methane oxidation chamber, whereby the methane is oxidized, the carbon dioxide and water. And then we also look at photobioreactor system, whereby biological conversion happens. And then we look at impurity removal system. Now you may ask me a question, what is this species 7002 culture which you try to speak of? This species 7002 which you try to speak of. Now, before I get there, going back to the previous slide, these are literature review on previous technology. Now we will see green hydrogen direct capture, biological methanation, renewable energy, power sabotage process, and synthetic methane production. These are the technologies that are being leveraged to produce zero carbon methane. All they sole aim is to reduce carbon emissions. So this is our target. But now we discover that all these technologies have a major problem. We look at the problem of scalability, the problem of carbon capture challenges, high cost, technical complexity, and life. Now we look at our technology. What does this technology try to do? And we are looking at reducing carbon greenhouse emissions. We are looking at utilizing carbon dioxide as feedstock. We are looking at production of high quality methane. We are looking at sustainable and renewable methane production. We are looking at enhanced photosynthetic efficiency through genetic engineering. And we are also looking at economic viability and minimal environmental impact. Now we get to the research methodology. Now we have the natural gas input, the methane oxidation chamber, the advanced photobioreactor, catalytic conversion, sabotage process, gas purification, compression and storage. Now, what we are using for the work is the natural gas. This one was what we are looking at is in the natural gas. And this technology makes use of CCUs. We are trying to incorporate all these technologies together in order to find efficient solutions. Now, in the natural gas input, we have where our methane is supplied to the oxidation chamber. And from the oxidation chamber, our methane is now broken down to carbon dioxide and water. And now we have our advanced photobioreactor whereby our biological conversion takes place. Now, I will go back to the Synegogus denominator species 7002 culture, which I spoke of earlier. Now, this bacteria is what is being used for carbon capture, utilization, and storage technologies. And now, I ask the question, why is it that when we are talking about carbon capture, utilization, and storage technologies, at the end of the day, we produce carbon dioxide as other technologies do. At the end of the day, they now capture the carbon dioxide and now store the carbon dioxide, utilize and store the carbon dioxide. Can't we deal with this carbon dioxide within the system? It's just like letting a lion out of the cage. A lion, we need the eye and the skin of the lion. And all of a sudden, we leave the lion out of the cage for the lion to cause an havoc. The lion causes havoc outside and you catch the lion, put it back in the cage. So I let me use the lion for what I want to do. After the lion has caused an image, carbon dioxide is the lion we are looking at now. Why can't we look at this in a closed system where carbon dioxide is not allowed to get out of the system? Because the problem of nature can only be solved by nature. And that is why we have species 7002, which we in biology used to call it blue-green algae. So we are trying to use that, but we are integrating it with methanotropes so that it can be able to produce methane. Because if you cannot integrate it with methanotropes, it will not be able to produce methane. And so we look at the catalytic conversion sabotage process. In the sabotage process, we look at the fact that because of the efficiencies we are looking at, we look at the fact that when we are producing methane from our advanced photobioreactor, so carbon dioxide may still be released. So now we use what is called the sabotage process, which is another technology that has been used. We incorporate it into the technology. The sabotage process now tries to make use of carbon dioxide and hydrogen in order to produce methane without carbon emission. That is the sabotage process, and it was first used by Paul Sabotage in the year 1897. That is when this technology came into existence. And then look at telling carbon emission using this technology. So that is what we incorporate. And then we look at gas purification, compression, and storage. And now this is the conceptual model of how the proposed prototype will be. I will look at the natural gas input, the methane oxidation chamber, the photobioreactor, the impurity removal unit, the compressed gas storage, and then, alright, this is a video and a detailed design animation of the proposed work, which I try to look at with regards to curtailing the carbon emission. Now, from the video, we will discover something. We will see the flow. We will see the flow. From the natural gas input, we see that the fluid flows now to the methane oxidation chamber, whereby it is being oxidized. And from there, it moves to the photobioreactor system. And from the photobioreactor system, it moves to the catalytic conversion chamber. And from the catalytic conversion chamber, it reacts when nickel is a catalyst, or release is a catalyst. And from there, it moves to the impurity removal system. And we see all this in the impurity removal system. The reason it gets to the impurity removal system, so that if there is any trace of impurities, these impurities may be removed, so that we can have high zero carbon methane production. That is the aim of the video. We go over to the next slide. And we need to understand that this work was actually simulated via MATLAB simulation, because we couldn't perform the actual process due to the economic constraints and a lot of tools that are needed to genetically modify the bacteria. And so now in the process simulation, we use the initial natural gas input of 100 cubic meter. We look at the efficiency of 90% for the methane oxidation and 85% for the photobioreactor, and we look at catalytic conversion of 95%, gas purification efficiency of 98%, and the final output was 71.53 cubic meter of zero carbon methane. And this is a simulating model of this zero carbon methane production process. And now we look at the result. This is a bar chart. First is a bar chart showing comparison between traditional and zero carbon methane production. And the second one shows the graph of methane purity at each purification stage. And now the third one is the graph of methane yield over time, which shows an exponential increase over time. And the fourth one is a graph of extraction efficiency over time. Now, there is something about this our microorganism. It has a doubling time of 2.6 hours. And that doubling time of 2.6 hours gives an ample opportunity to be able to produce. But now, this particular place has no explanation with regards to it, but due to time and the lack of it, we can just move forward. But the extraction efficiency peaks at 3 hours. But after that particular time, we see that the efficiency reduces because the microorganism is not to thrive in methane environment. It is just modified genetically to be able to thrive in that environment. It only thrives more in carbon dioxide environment. That's why we see the efficiency reduced. And then we see come to conclusion, efficient gas utilization, reduction in emissions, high-quality methane production, scale-up applications. That is, studies should be conducted for commercial scalability, continuous optimized formulation processes to ensure more production and monitor environmental impact. These are the references and acknowledgements. Thank you.
Living fit. I have a lot of fatigue. Thank you. Please go back to the slide. Wow. So you carried out this one?
No, sir.
This proposed. So
It is based on real data and what has already established.
So the result you got is the work you did or the work you also proposed? Yes.
No, I have estimated the result is using efficiency.
So what you got now, you can now go ahead to come with the prototype. That's correct. Yes. Okay. You don't need to understand that. All right, Johnny, let's start it.
All right. Now, the regards to the advanced extraction unit. Now we make use of the photobioreactor system. It's a technology for producing methane. Now we are trying to extract methane from that technology as well. And now we also combine another technology, which is the SAASC process. SAASC process is also used for producing methane. Yes, both of them are being used to produce methane. That technology is used for producing methane. But we ask ourselves a question: if this thing are used to produce methane and they still in this house, if we incorporate all of them together, can't they give us more efficient production? And why that is utilizing carbon dioxide within a system? As we don't allow our carbon dioxide to go out from the system, we still utilize it within the system. The previous technology, because I asked that question, is something I asked myself: why is it that I will just allow carbon dioxide to get out from the system and then I capture the carbon? Why can't we just deal with carbon dioxide in the system? And the good part of it is that this our microorganism will reduce it in like 2.6 hours. It doubles like in 2.6 hours. Now, please imagine we are using it. The more you produce, the more the efficiency. Yes, there is a yes, it will actually work in the lab because this bacteria is actually what is being used for carbon 60 technology. It is being used this year. So what I now do is to genetically modify it by adding methanol traits so that now it can produce methane apart from just capturing the carbon. Now it produces methane for us. So now it now saves it to alcohol.
More questions? Okay, your silence means consent. Thank you, leave it. Well done. God bless you. Good job. I like his passion. I like his it shows, it tells me that he knows what he's doing. Okay, well done. All right, Isa, you are next. After Isa, we'll take a miracle. Okay. Johnny, are we ready? Are we ready? No, it's not the last. All right, Isa, your time starts now.
All right. My name is and I'm a parent of technology. And my research topic is national solution to expression development. With the recent trend, you will notice that most of our IoTs now are focusing their attention towards their offshore assets. Let's say, for example, ExxonMobil, their offshore assets were recently acquired by Tesla Service, as well as SPENC, very recently acquired by Renew. So I think it is high time we give this law in a check because fast around because they are not directly fast either they are horizontal. So it's kind of sometimes. So flooding will happen, and that's what this is the perfect description of how the flooding is being used. Where the shaded dark part is the crude and the unshaded part is the gas. As you can see, it is the intermittent flow variation of hydrocarbon liquids. That is the gas, the oil, and water. So flooding occurs in such a way that the way then that it will just come with liquid packets, sometimes with gas engine, and sometimes with a mixture of both, and that's why we have things like slug and so as to distribute this thing. But our outside equipment are not designed in a way that it just accommodates the liquid packet or gas engine. It is designed in a multi-phase system, and that's why we need to actually mitigate flooding. So what is the problem? The problem is that the reactive approaches of current techniques. The current techniques that are adopted currently, they are reactive in the sense that flooding must have occurred or it's occurring before you take action. But we are going that in this recent day and time, we are supposed to have moved past that because we need to be more proactive, we need to predict this, and that's why we are saying that the solution is to build a different predictive and proactive model capable of adapting to changing conditions with machine learning. So why machine learning? It is because of a truth. Our IoTs are in business company, they are doing an awesome job storing data. So we are just leveraging on this data stored so as to optimize or utilize this data set. It is adaptable and it enables proactive management. So what we do was that we collected data from a large information and we trained the data, then we splitted the data, we trained one set for data training, another set for data testing. So we developed a relational model. The methodology and the tools we employed Islam information vision to collect our data, the ordinal software for traditional approaches, and the Python libraries for the building of the new model. So the first thing we did was that we collected our data. We collected things like the gas oil ratio, the gas secret, the choke temperature, the choke pressure, and so on. From there, we move to data processing. We feed the data, feed in the appliance, the missing value using the main approach, feed data analysis on the data set. Then from there, we train our model. And we use the linear regression model, which makes us to have this model. So we trained our model and implemented it. And guess what? When we trained our model and we implemented this model was able to predict flooding 60 minutes prior to when flooding occurs. And we did a comparative evaluation. So why is the dependent variable which is predicted gas rate for optimal flooding mitigation? So our model is not just predicting flooding, it's also acts as a proactive way that when flooding occurs, it changes the parameters so that it mitigates flooding. So this is just a linear regression loss function which was used to calculate our mean absolute error, our root mean square error. So the result, flooding is a real issue in our offshore platform in the sense that it causes plant freeze, it causes plant shutdown in many locations, it causes over-pressurization as well because there will be pressure variation as well. So this is the result, and this was a test for linearity. As you can see, there's no clear pattern. There's no clear pattern in our data point or sample point we use. So I think there was a clear form to show that it was not linear out there. There's no correlation, but it's standard and the diagonal line means the perfect prediction line, and most of our data point were actually at the point of the diagonal line. So it means that it satisfies linearity, and this is a snapshot of our results, where we got our R and 0.886, and also our coefficient and all. So we obtained these statistics which shows that if you have a minimal value of 0.00192, it shows that it is statistically significant when you have a value like that. So the performance metric, we use the performance metric to measure the impact of our model. We use the mean absolute error, which is the absolute difference between the the credited and the actual value, that's the real value, the difference between that. So our mean absolute error is 80.75 standard value on the training data set and it's 1.746 standard value on the test data set. It shows that they are not far from each other. 80 and 81 are not far from each other, which is actually going into error. So the root mean square error is the square root of the average. Is the square root of the average square difference between the actual and the predicted. It's more like the highest offset or the highest error. The highest error the model can take or perform. So as you can see on the training data set, the highest error on the training is 112.49. So and on the test it's 114.44. So it is not far from the mean absolute error. For a perfect model, your RMS should be equal to or greater to your NAE, that is the mean absolute error. In this case, you can see that the greatest offset is not far from what was screen, that's 80.756. And for the test 114, which is not far from 81.7%. That is to say that our model does not accommodate or does not contain error. So the mean absolute percentage error is the percentage. You just replace the percentage of the mean absolute error, and the R square error. The R square there was 0.86, which is closer to 1. So the R square works in a way that the closer it is to 1, the more accurate and the more the model understand all the slugging behavior. It understands perfectly the slugging behavior. And when it is 0, it means you just need like a trap wall. So the closer it is to 1, it means you accurately predicted your data or the model is accurately accurate. So the impact is that it helps us to reduce operational downtime, cost saving on gas lifting optimization, reduction in chemical in top cost. So this is like a tabulated format. It's like a tabulated format of the impact, like the sloppy reduction. Traditional approaches function in a reactive way, more like a corrective measure. It has a 10 to 15% sloppy reduction, but with our machinery approach, we were able to achieve over 40% reduction, which is over 100% improvement. Our downtime reduction was traditional approach function in a way that when it notices flooding, the operator will notify the flood assurance engineer and it simulates on the older software. Then it will implement the changes that they need to implement in order to reduce or eliminate flooding. But in this case, our machine learning predicts it accurately and was able to achieve it at 3% more better than the traditional error. Than the traditional approach. Then the gas lifting is minimal. In traditional approaches, it is minimal, but with our machine learning solution, we are able to save about 20% gas lift because in traditional approach, we just send in the gas, and we are not utilizing the gas, and there is no gas to gas lift column. But with our machine learning approach, we are able to utilize it and also send the appropriate amount of gas needed to mitigate it. Okay, so it was able to. The chemical cost significant was that there are approaches whereby we use chemical like the former to lighten your column, but in this case, it reduces it about 25%. So just imagine the way that they are using chemical for like $1 million. So this because of secrecy in data, we are unable to get actual value for the chemical cost savings. So for equipment like this one, it's causing due to the refrigeration, it's causing wear and tear in the equipment like the choke adjustments and mechanical stress on the equipment. But with our graphic approach, it's recorded in high equipment lifespan because and we're able to gain over 10% efficiency. So the conclusion of the study was that we are able to validate a supervised learning model using linear regression. The methodology and scalability. So the methodology and scalability, we can actually implement this methodology. We can actually implement this model on various drivers across numerous offshore platforms, which was tested and was run. It was implemented in the FPS. I don't want to what is name right now because of safety issues. So it was implemented and we were able to predict flooding, and we were also able to proactively mitigate flooding. These are the references, and I would like to acknowledge Mr. H.K. Mugari, the head of production performance of this portal, as Secretary H.K. and Mugari as Secretary. So it was the one that helped with the implementation, the monitoring, and all. So the social energy where I assistant and Professor O.S. and this. So the entire Society of Petroleum Engineers put in a SPENC chapter and SP as large. So that is just the profile about me. So one of the mentors I know will say, what we are saying, if I think is that let's reduce the for producing efficiently of course. Thank you.
Good job, Isa. Benefit of doing intern and doing it well. Yeah, you went to do internship and came back with a project. Yeah, good job, well done. Judges, come take question.
Yes, so they were evaluated, like I said, they were evaluated, and some of them are evaluated, and this traditional method was using organ software. Yes, it was using organ software because that was the simulation to yes, and our machine learning approach. So we compared it, the result we compared the data set, and we actually passed the percentage to know. So like I said, this is the secret in data, right? We don't want to, because right now we are not spending publication. Right now we are not acquired like the legal rights to protect data.
Mission from data to
Yes.
Yeah, but those data will be generated internally. That's what it's trying to say.
Yeah, so the data we generated internally was that when we get our results, we saw that like in total energy this year they have recorded like about 3,000 and which causes example down. So we saw how traditional approaches mitigate flooding. So the information they got during those periods, we got to and saw that okay, this percentage, we got this percentage, but we didn't mention any approach when we implemented it. Those people that are very good recording, we can mitigate predict flooding in the entire area.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. Because, like, it is high because in traditional it's limited because not in the activity correct it has occurred. So there's already no variations across 5 and 2 segments. Okay, so you have to be adjusting flow and flow. Alright, but machine learning solution is predicting it for you that okay that the amount of how flooding and our model will now change the parameter is dynamic like this is the model. Whereby it predicted appropriate for optimal flooding mitigation. So when it predicts flooding, we
Slopping parameters. Say that because
These are from concerning the machine learning solution. When we talk about machine learning solutions, typically, this linear regression, iterative design needs to become a perfect result. So there are other types of machine learning solutions So I was also expecting to train the model, of course. So I was expecting to see results of the training model. What you show probably is the best score after you migrate the data. Then another thing, I think parameters. I don't
that and note it. Improve the work.
Let's see your objective. Do you have objectives?
No, I just.
Let's see. Okay.
No.
It just mentioned to me that we picked up the wrong slide. But that's it. Yeah. All right.
So what is your objective?
So the objective is to predict slugging and also proactively mitigate.
Which is slugging. Is that your aim?
What I understand, if I can help you with it, is that the machine learning, from what I understand, it takes your historical data. I don't think you should be really doing much of calculation. It's taking previously established models, previously established calculations, and saying at so and so pressure, so and so temperature, so and water content, we see slugging. So based on that, it's able to tell the machine learning will say that, okay, you are getting close to so and so pressure, so and so temperature, and you may have alarms or something like that. No, we just set alarms, so we just send you a reminder which you will now decide, okay, let's open the choke, close the choke, do this so that you can increase gas speed, reduce gas speed so that's the thinking of the machine learning, which helps you to predict. So that instead of you coming in the morning and finding out the well has quit, you are able to change those parameters to the well flow and you prevent deferment of production.
That is summary of the entire work. All right. Because of that, let's take the next one. Thank you. Miracle, please. Take it a little bit faster so I can wrap up. Let's just take a point at a time before this 4 minutes one. Yeah, miracle. Yeah, please help confirm if the lunch is ready. Yeah, after miracle, we take Oman, Zakaria. Miracle, you have 10 minutes. You have the floor now.
My name is Miracle. I'm here I'm presenting the technical paper titled Evaluating Potential of Smartphone Activity Technologies for Sustainability of Civilization and Decarbonization in World Economy. This is an overview of the pattern of presentation with following. Introduction. Why the need for sustainable intervention methods? First, it's paramount that we understand what downhole intervention is. Downhole intervention refers to all oilfield operations that are carried out post-law completion in order to restore production, carry out routine maintenance, repair integrity issues, or extend the lifespan of a mature well. These operations could include things like the installation of a SAASC to control sand production in a well. It can be the installation of a bridge plug to facilitate zone change from the depleted reservoir to higher reservoir zone. It can be the installation of an ambient block for subsurface safety, just mentioned a few. The traditional method that has been used for carrying out different intervention operations are explosive based. However, although sufficient, these explosive based mechanisms are not prone to challenge, are not free from challenges. They are prone to some particular challenges which are highlighted here. First of all, cost efficiency. According to Shabir in 2009, the recorded that everything losses associated with explosive mobilization and safety measures is estimated to be more than $12 million annually for land-based operations, and even 3 times that for offshore operations. Check on the safety risk. There are a lot of surface detonation hazards and landing risks associated with explosives in general. For the future projections, it has been projected that in 2030, the mature fields will contribute to over 80% of oil and gas production. And this just tells us that the rate of oil intervention is about to go up, meaning that the amount of downhole intervention operations that are carried out in our field will also go up. And working with this future projection, it is very important that we have a method that is operationally, economically, and environmentally sound. Sustainability finally. Reducing scope 1 emissions from working operations is critical to meeting global climate targets and avoiding stricter carbon penalties. Now, the direct emissions from these explosive-based technologies that are used for downhole operations might seem small, but following our future projection of mature fuels to contribute to over 80% of oil and gas production by 2030, the cumulative effect of using these technologies on 1,000, 2,000, and even 3,000 wells can scale up and become a problem to the environment, so sustainability becomes a paramount role. Technical overview of AMSP, the viable alternative. For the scope of this paper, the non-explosive alternative that we're focusing on is the use of electromechanical setting technology. This technology, for this slide, I've created a generic AEMSP, which stands for Advanced Electromechanical Setting Tool, in order to have a comprehensive analysis and include several technologies that offer similar or that operate based on similar principles. Now, how does this work? They are basically just electromechanical systems that generate control linear force needed to set its wellboard devices that are needed for well intervention operation and production restoration. Key parameters are they can provide setting force of up to 120,000 pounds, operating environment. They are seen to operate. They have been seen to operate in high temperature, high pressure, and even extreme conditions. And real-time data can also be monitored through them, where you get to see your current voltage, temperature, and other parameters. Basically, my objective for this study is to evaluate the feasibility of these technologies as a sustainable, non-explosive alternative for wellbore intervention, examining operational performance, safety, economic viability, and sustainability. Here is a review of previous work that has been done on this. We have Charlotte's house work down to most recent work to 2020. However, from all these literatures, there has been a significant gap, which is the lack of clear quantitative comparison between explosive and their non-explosive alternative. Now, this is the gap that my paper intends to address. For my research methodology, I employed a mixed method approach, which involves combining both quantitative data and qualitative insights. For data collection, I gathered data sets from 10 different case studies where AMSPs have been employed. And for secondary data, I also utilized industry reports such as that from the Department of Energy on benchmark for explosive methods. I then moved to data processing and standardization, defining my quantitative performance metrics, normalized necessary metrics, and finally categorized my qualitative data. After this, I performed a comprehensive analysis of the individual data sets that I analyzed from the 10 AMSC case studies, comparing each of them based on the performance metrics. I then took an average and compared the average to the case study metrics to the metrics of the explosive averages. Now, this is the brief summary of the 10 case studies which I worked with. There is the broader representation in my manuscript. So in the selection of my data sets, I prioritized well depths of 7,179 feet, 63,076 feet, because deeper wells tend to have more problems when it comes to things like this. I also prioritized high temperature wells, ranging from 250 Fahrenheit to above 225 degrees Fahrenheit, and extreme well conditions with up to 1.8% H2S and 20% CO2. Now, what results did I find from all this analysis? Key findings from my AMSC case studies. The plot. The plot you can see here is the plot of depth against set time, which is one of our comparative metrics. And we can see that the average set time for each of the compared data sets from all the 10 case studies was 20 minutes per operation. And although there was an anomaly which had a set time of 52 minutes, these were true conditions. But the digital integration that the AMS offers was able to allow this anomaly to still result in a final success. Another major finding from my AMS case study analysis was a success rate of 90%. Now, key findings from my comparative analysis, which is the AMS versus explosive, the traditional explosive method now. So from this, we can see that employing the use of AMS reduces the number of personnel requirements for each operation by over 70%, and this in turn reduces personnel costs and leads to cost efficiency in when intervention operation. You can also see that regulative delays / NPT distance from non-productive time was reduced from 100% to 0 because the use of this explosive-based technology usually required several regulatory permits and compliance notes. Meanwhile, the use of AMSs do not require any of that, thereby reducing non-productive time to 0, a significant drop. Now, for CO2 emission, the use of explosive-based technologies averaged 300 emissions of 300 metric tons of carbon of CO2 per operation, while using the AMSs had less than 80 metric tons of carbon emission, thereby reducing the impact by close to 90%. You can also see that the safety risk index was drastically reduced because the risk of surface detonation and handling risk has been removed by employing AMSs as a viable alternative. Also, number of runs. Because of the digital monitoring and real-time data gathering system that have been employed into the AMS's mechanism, you can monitor what is happening down, and this gives you a proper means to make clear decisions and correct mistakes even when things go wrong, reducing the need for re-entry into the wellbore. Finally, industry application. Reduce overall cost of well intervention operation. Like I said, non-productive time, regulatory delays, and number of personnel have been reduced, which means cost efficiency has been increased. Improved safety and sustainability. We saw an over 70% drop in CO2 emissions, and we also saw a close to 80% drop in safety risk index. Production optimization. Limitation of study. I had limited quantitative data on explosive-based intervention during the study. Conclusion: AMSs from this offer a viable non-explosive alternative for download intervention. While explosive methods may be faster due to instant detonation, the high risk of re-entry negates this, and the high risk of re-entry negates this speed because at the end of the day, the overall rig time is extended. Digital monitoring system, of course, just like I explained before. The recommendation is that there is an expanded field validation and improved digital innovation to this technology. Thank you very much.
Wow, miracle. Well done. Good job, good job. I'm impressed with your work. I know that initially I was a little skeptical whether I should allow this to fly, but I'm happy that it got to finance. Well done. I hope that you will keep working at this way. There's a lot more you need to do. Yeah. John is please, I will just take comments and questions quickly.
I think done.
Shama, can you just help finalize the launch query?
I think the job is very good. I want to believe that there is also need for further research because I like the fact that you are precise, you are calculated. I think for me, I don't want to use more comments on this.
All right, more comment from Dennis? Yes, none. All right.
The thing I'll say is that I look at how everything is focused on the energy, on the emissions, of the decarbonization. To me, it's not that's why I'm coming. I think you stick to the decarbonization goal and leave the result. I will say that because there are two reasons why. One is that in the field you will call practicality of it. How, I mean, when you start using the other technology to go and perform your work, is it really cost saving? Total cost will tell you. Other things they may come up, I don't know. But, right? No, you can, but the other part where I really wanted to go is that I know you mentioned the volume, but you know that is subjective. How many wells will you do an intervention for? There's no criteria. There are some wells we had for the last 20 years, we've not done any well intervention, especially when it comes to like using perforation and things like that. We might go there, we might do water shut off, we might go there, we might do some other kind of well intervention, sand, but we may not do the preparation. So it's a highly subjective area on which is something that you need to highlight. That so the way you highlight that. I'm not an expert in this area. Make sure you highlight that 80%, that your graph that shows the reductions, what you can do. So you highlight that, irrespective of the amount of the intervention work over whatever method. These are what your study showed and your habit reduction. I think that's
I also think that the industry impact and practical applications, SP made it so easy for us to be able to just shut to. The practical application is where I also have my reservations on. So how you can link it, when you are linking it, you have to look at the extension, the broadness of the where you are operating on. So, but good job, good job.
Well, in addition to what you said, also we assess clarity of objectives and what progress step. And it's your objective. You want to set objective for you have so the aims to this. So is the problem statement and what is objective? What are your objectives?
This is the objective. I think that the progress is
Where is the objective? Where is the objective?
you said objective.
No, that's
what the aim. So the aim is an aim.
what I'll say is that you assume that everybody is quite knowledgeable about the areas. You'll have to break it down a bit more. I think that's the key part that you need.
your aim should be separated from your objective. That's the plan. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Whatever you're presenting, you have to make it as clear as possible. Straightforward.
I agree with you, sir, but did you notice yesterday my observation? These are recurrent issues. I mentioned this yesterday. So SPE also, before we have these guys come out, let's give them a proper, either a PDF document on how to do the referencing type and the research. They need more information on research methodology. That is the reality. That is a reality. So that is a common, that has been a common issue and recurrent issue since yesterday.
I'm surprised
For especially the undergraduate. That's the
Because normally when we go out,
you have presented, yes, but you must have guided them up to the
because normally when they send out all these certificate papers, I know that for the normal lines, they send out like the guide, format, all those things. They don't send it for students. Yes, guide to all yes.
We have a document, let's see. I think what I should have done was to have a session with all of them and just make sure everybody understands what is in there.
But also for instructors, we have this session about how to give a good technical presentation. All the sections already have. I'll encourage students.
Usually, when it's called for feedback submission, the students are expected to give their lecturers to guide them before coming, and whatever they present, whatever they are prepared, they are supposed to get up to the lecturers who say, is this okay for me to present? But the way you now want to go solo on your own, that is where we now see it.
And we can see many of them who have gone solo because one of them even some of them are not even put in who supervise them. They just come with their names and just come in to present. So with SC, we need to be firm about that. We need to be firm. Let the lecturer at least review them before coming.
All right, round of applause for. All right, Zachariah. After Zachariah, we'll take up Olatukumbo. So Olatukumbo, please get ready. Judges. Judges, are you ready? Are we ready?
Yes.
All right, 10 minutes. The time starts now.
Specialization within Nigerian investment complex. So, as carbon specialization is just a process of capturing the carbon and storing the carbon to make a living in the atmosphere. According to intergovernmental panel on climate change assessment report, stated that the emission of greenhouses have contributed a lot to the global warming, which is the rise of the surface temperature above 1.1 degrees Celsius, which is about 1850 to 1900 years baseline during 2011 to 2020, which is above the industrial time. The main challenges for carbon sequestration is limited characterization within basement complex, which is promising for carbon sequestration. And my own goal for this research is to characterize the potential of Nigerian basement complex in order to store carbon within. That's the geological status of the Nigerian basement complex. Nigeria being led within Pan-African model belt, which dated around 550 million years, Pan-African
this convention is the convention of all and weather basin. This is the methodology of the science methodology. The qualified electrical sounding and electrical utility provided have been techniques for me to assess the subsurface storage of basin, where I make use of allied omega utility meter electron meter. Then the data has been accurate by configuring all the equipment and taking the sensitivity measurements. That's the data processing and analysis. After the data has been accurate, let us apply survey to interpret and take the apparent resistivity, which will give me key parameters of the depth, thickness, resistivity, and also the porosity and permeability of the air. All of these formulas are the test type of which get primary cause of the physical techniques. The first one that is the first cause, the first cause with the resistivity of 430 or 103 degrees. That is the thickness, the porosity, and the permeability. Then for the weather basement and the fracture basement, those are the policy location for me to store the basement in. And the fresh basement will serve as the cap or the seal for me to have the carbon within the basement. This is the phase one, which has the potential of this 0.7 to 0.5 between weather and fracture, and this one 0.6, 0.68, then this one 0.7 and 0.3. The discussion and implication of this soil. The porosity is about stability. Based on this study, it indicates that the porosity and permeability zone will enhance fluid storage and vibration, making this ideal for carbon sequestration, which is my fracture and weather basement. Then the ceiling cap of all ceiling mechanism is crystalline basement, which is the last basement rocks. If it is not fractured, then it means there is no any vibration factor. Will serve as my barrier for the carbon to escape. Then this is the carbon vibration before and fracture will serve as the pathway for carbon to escape. Then I will make sure that there is a proper site selection, structural assessment, crucial for the mitigation. Then key findings. The fracture basement layers some of the potential for storage site due to secondary porosity and permeability, unlike the sedimentary rocks. Then high permeability layer will serve as the injection point where I will inject the carbon within the substrate. Then in the data line, that's my barrier for me to trap the carbon. Then the need for conduct advanced seismic and resistivity of soil, which identify the optimal injection site and the subsurface salinization, and some geophysical and geochemical monitoring, the migration, and get the potential for this reservoir stability. Then there should be for clear guidelines for carbon sequestration rate assessment and environmental impact mitigation within Nigerian basin complex. That's the reference.
Wow, Zachariah, thanks a lot. You are just right on time. Good project handle. You know, I asked if you're the one in that picture. Is that one of your project partners?
No, it's a project partner from petroleum engineering.
Petroleum engineering. Good job. So you had some good collaboration. Good job. George, is there any question for that?
What's the objective? Objective is not like the aim of this work. What is the aim of this work? This aim is supposed to be accompanied with specific objectives. How do you achieve the aim? It's not spelled out. What is the aim?
Well, the aim, if I understand right, is that is to characterize potential sites. So it's more of a subsurface. So you get locations in the reservoir, like what we do with gas injection. So if you take out oil, you see that space is void. You now inject your carbon dioxide into that space. So it has to be clear, like I said, everybody has to understand.
So your objective is at least the activity that you plan out to achieve, your methodology and also get your objectives. So it's still cumbersome.
Store carbon within secondary pharmacy, and what.
So no other ones have done that.
There is only
Sure.
one.
So you don't have the picture if you want to. I think
The studies have been done on this.
What is the coding production? That's the details. That's the details. Yeah. So what can be done on that? Try looking at the suitability of depleted zones. Just semantics like you need to.
The question that even comes to my mind is that as I think about it, is what are the challenges that you face? But I know this is not theoretical, so you don't have that. I know that one of the challenges they have is when you dump it, what happens then? What's the impact in the formation? What's the impact in the reservoirs? What's the impact on the environment or seismic and things like that? And it's something that as I'm thinking about it for the other papers too. I don't think I've seen much of the challenges they've undergone while they are doing it. I know you give your results and everything and it's nice, but I think it's good for challenges so people can learn. Maybe when you're doing an experiment, when you're doing this is where you encounter, this is where you encounter, this is how you have the challenges. Yes. So for that, so what do you think are the major challenges that you have if you
Try to get.
yes.
Yes, if the carbon is injected within the opening source, it is not eco-friendly. It will contaminate the water.
Yes, exactly.
For the environment.
Yes.
And if the carbon escapes, it will harm the environment and even the living organisms.
So how to cap the information so that there's no leakage of that CO2. And also the fact that you mentioned that if they are underground aquifers, like drinking water that we get from, if it leaks into that, lost the purpose of containment into those zones, now have your water being with CO2 and then probably have some reaction.
All right, thank you. All right, so let us quickly take the ladies and then we can talk about the guys. So we'll take Olatunbo. After that, we'll take Deborah. Olatunbo, please. You can try out your. piece of road. I think yesterday you can move up and down. Okay, good, good. Take it back. All right, judges. Are we ready? Let me stop there. Okay. All right. Your time starts now.
Okay, so that it's a conquer rolling on the island, and the next minute it's a fire. Repeat through there. The news call it tragic when things like this happen, but I call it painful. And that's what I'm saying. My name is actually Lara. I'm a 400 chemical engineering student of Obafemi Awolowo University, OAU, Open University of Science. So first, so let's take a good look at the pictures in front of us. We have the first one, which is a picture of tankers carrying fuel on the major highway. This is our reality here in Nigeria. This is a major highway, and we have tankers carrying different volatile substances. And on the next, we have the aftermath of a tiny little mistake that could be caused by anybody, or any of the factors of what's looking at. Now, what are tanker explosions? A tanker explosion is a catastrophic event that occurs when a fuel tanker carrying volatile substances such as petrol, diesel, petroleum gases, and so on ignites due to several factors. Tankers play a very crucial role in the midstream sector of the oil and gas industry because they serve as a primary source, as a primary means of transporting crude oil products where pipelines are not as feasible. Now, the aim of this paper is to analyze the causes, the impact, and the solutions. We need to move from how did this happen, or how did what happen, to how do we stop this from happening. We look at some of the causes of tanker explosions. First, we have mechanical failures and poor vehicle maintenance. So, a lot of the tankers that are exposed today are not just old, they are practically falling apart. Most of them are way past their safe years because tankers are vehicles and vehicles are machines, and every machine has its safe years. So the moment a tanker or a machine is past its safe years and is still being used, there is likelihood that anything could happen. And this anything that could happen is very disastrous or could be very disastrous. Next, we look at roadway problems and poor infrastructure. One major issue that we face on our highways here in Nigeria is bad roads. We don't have a lot of roads. A lot of our roads are bad. And this is the reality, the truth. Because of the gravity of the tendency of the weight of tankers, them moving on bad roads then pose a catastrophic risk on them. We also look at driver errors and human factors. The person behind the wheel of a tanker has the tendency to make or break products, which is the tanker in discussion. Now, when the driver is moving down, any little outburst, right, any little mistake made or impromptu decision made by him could make or break the situation. It could take it from just a simple transportation from one point to another to the biggest place in the paper. And that's our major issue that we face here in Nigeria. We have people that are illegal cycling. Now, when the tanker explodes, or when the tanker has an accident, there is a distance or there is a time frame between when it has the accident to when the fire actually starts. So what happens in between this distance, in between this time frame, tends to say a lot, or tends to go a long way in what could happen next. In the sense that if there is a tanker accident, people around, the individuals around, make a very quick and fast decision to stay away, stay as far as possible, away from the tanker in question. It could just be something that will not go a long way. It could be something that is not escalate. But when they see it as an opportunity, when they are being driven by poverty, when they are being driven by ignorance, to go towards this tankers, to scoop fuel, because they see it as a free method of getting petrol or oil or whatever is in the tanker. When they make the ignorant decision to go towards this thing, it's terrible. So this is a data analysis. I took a survey conducted by Simon Fashion in 2020, where he ranked contributing factors to tanker accidents in Nigeria. First, we have the problem, like we do with this, see the first three. We have roadway problems, we have drunk driving, and we have tail racing. These are some of the factors, or some of the major factors that are contributing to our tanker accidents here in Nigeria. Roadway problems, like I said earlier, a lot of our roads are bad. A lot of our roads are not the best. And because of the weight of the tankers, a little pothole, just a small pothole, could destabilize the movement, making it very difficult for it to gain its balance. Drunk driving. I don't think I need to say much of drunk driving. We all know about drunk driving. We all know drunk driving is not everything. But a tanker driver still driving a truck with such volatile substances while being drunk is just unacceptable. And this is caused by a lot of factors. It could be fatigue that will shift them to that. It could be ignorance. It could be a lot of things. But we also look at tailgating. When drivers drive too close to tankers, it is very easy, because of the tanker has a lot of blind spots. It is very easy for them to make an impromptu decision without actually knowing what is behind them, which can cause an accident. Then we also move on to look at what is the way forward. How do we change the narrative? How do we stop this from happening every 2 weeks? How do we stop going on Google and every time we go, we see a new news about a new tanker explosion that happened? So some of my proposed solutions would be real-time tracking of trucks. Now, have we ever wondered why airplanes or commercial flights are controlled from the point of takeoff to landing? Airplanes are always monitored in real time. They are always in constant communication with the control towers. And this meticulous oversight has made Asia one of the safest, if not the safest mode of travel. But in our Nigerian petroleum transport system, we don't have real-time tracking of trucks. We don't track our trucks. We don't. The companies do not. All they do is just, most of the time, what they usually do is just record the people leaving, and then when they get to their destination, they record that. There's no real-time tracking. There's no constant communication. There's no way they incorporated advanced technology into helping truck drivers to move from the beginning to the end safely. This particular proposed solution would change the entire story of the Nigerian transport petroleum system, in the sense that if a tanker is moving on an highway, he's being monitored. He's driving, whether being reckless or not, he's being monitored in real time. He's assisted by other people to tell him what is in front, what is behind, and what's confused, and what is wrong. It is very important as we could incorporate this in our transport system and make it a better way of transporting. Next, we look at proper maintenance of trucks and the use of advanced trucks. Talking about real-time trucks and tracking of trucks, before we can incorporate this real-time tracking of trucks, before we can use this advanced technology system, we have to actually use advanced trucks. Because you cannot use real-time tracking of trucks, you cannot employ that method into the use of into old trucks. There's no way that's going to happen. they should do to use of advanced drugs that has more technological systems. And also proper maintenance of the ones we already have. We're not going to show you the ones we have. So the least we can do is to maintain them properly as we can. We also look at heavy and continuous training awareness program. Now, like I said earlier, a lot of Nigerians or a lot of ignorant Nigerians do not understand the gravity of running towards a fuel tanker that's collapsed. They don't understand that it's literally a ticking time bomb, and anything could happen the moment you move, even if you are not trying to scoop well, the moment you are close to it, because of how volatile this substance is, anything to spark, rays from the sun, phone calls, could actually trigger something, and the next thing, you see fire in the air. So we need to employ the use of our public awareness programs, social media, billboards, and to even go as far as telling our, in rural areas, telling our town hall councils on how they can pass this information to people. Because I want to believe that Nigerians do not actually know the gravity of what they do. I want to believe that they are not aware of how bad this could be. And they just think, anything could happen. They just don't think it's true. Now, we also look at driver training programs. The person behind the wheel, like I said earlier, is very, very important. His decisions, every decision that he makes, can make or break the safety of the people, both the tanker, the company, and the people, the individuals around him. So we should actually find a way. Companies and industry should find a way to incorporate driver training programs into the system. Now, what they might already have that, there's always a capability for them to do better. They can always include more and more trainings for them. If it's to tell them about their ignorance and inform them about what could be and what should be, what should not be and what should. Because there's no reason why a tanker driver should train at all. And some of them are actually fast. And that's why they say, that's why they train to keep their eyes sharp. So it is very important for us to incorporate driver training programs into all of tanker drivers before employing them at all, into all of their schedules. We should incorporate that. Now, the time to act and save lives is now. Nigerians cannot keep dying. In 2019, there were 29 tanker explosions that claimed the lives of over 200 people. In 2024, there were over 32 tanker explosions that claimed the lives of close to 300 people. People have died from 2009 to 2024 last year. Over 1,600 people died from tanker explosions. These are our families. These are our friends. These are futures of children in caution. We need to take action now. We cannot keep waiting for the next news to come up and then we'll be, wow, I'm really surprised. That will be it. We can't keep doing that. So we need to actually take action now. And this is our fight. Every single one of us in this room has a way to do it.
All right, thank you, Kumbo. Yeah, so when I saw the title, this is the feedback. I think there's a lot more to the topic that you need to showcase.